Hey, my name is Sruti. I'm an author and spiritual teacher. Today I'm out in the park with a piece of my artwork, which you can see behind me, which is about the spirituality of the divine feminine. I decided I'd rather show this out in the park today rather than from my bed, where I've been for the past 6 months recovering from surgery on both feet. So I painted this because my stitches hurt so bad after surgery. I think the stitches hurt more than the actual surgery, which was a significant surgery. They broke my heel and my big toe and screwed in some joints and cut tendons. Basically reconstructed the arch of my foot, which had collapsed. So a lot of stitches, a lot of recovery time, a lot of pain. But this is the result of the pain. Ta-da! So what was particularly interesting to me about painting this woman was obviously her eyes, the expression behind her eyes, which reveals a certain depth of spiritual awakening, and also her wrinkles. I had so much fun painting her wrinkles. And I thought her wrinkles were stunningly beautiful, which is contrary to what society thinks of women's wrinkles. Society seems to think that old people are no longer attractive, and especially women are no longer useful beyond their, just gonna say, reproductive years. I don't know why we're only attractive during our reproductive years. So I just find everything about her to be stunningly attractive physically. But also, obviously, the expression in her eyes is something rare. It is something that, it's a way I can read the level of consciousness of a human being. I'm going to put up a little image on the screen of Ramana Maharshi's face. It's a famous photograph of this famous Indian guru who is one of my favorite people. I believe he embodies a very divine feminine quality, very soft, very gentle. His teachings were always easy for me to understand, and of course the biggest teaching of all is his eyes. And so the quality of his eyes is really what I was the most interested in capturing in this work, regardless of what color her eyes are. Although I did make them kind of like this light grayish color, sort of a non color, to kind of emphasize them physically as well as in the expression. And the expression carries this very peculiar mixture of both wisdom and joy and sadness and grief and wonder and reverence and pain, and everything mixed together into a super expression that's kind of at once calm and also alive. This isn't the expression of someone who's been jaded by life to the point of zoning out. This is someone who has experienced all of the things and integrated all of the things into who they are. So she has a mandala on her forehead. She has the marking of her Hindu tradition, but I also intentionally crowned her on her third eye chakra with a mandala, to make it perfectly clear that this isn't just a portrait of a woman's face. This is a portrait of a spiritually awakened woman's face. And what we're looking at here is not just a face. It's not just skin and bone. It's not just eyes. It's not just personality. We are looking at pure consciousness itself, shining through the form of an older woman, whose form is fading day by day. I mean, when you reach I mean, first of all, any age, your body is fading day by day, but the older you get, the wrinkles are a sign of like a translucence of the human being, where consciousness has the opportunity to shine through more and more clearly, precisely because the human form is beginning to fade. And that's what we see in her eyes. We don't see a fading in the eyes. There's actually a kind of a brightness and an intensity, even as she's looking not quite directly at you, but if she were almost through you, and looking at something that we cannot see unless you have the eyes to see the unseen. So it's more about where she's looking from rather than where she's looking to. And on her lips is kind of this half smile, half sad, somewhere between a smile, a frown, and a quiet knowing, like a smirk, like she knows something that the world doesn't know, that perhaps the world has overlooked in her. And so she is, what I kind of intended and modeled her after was this image of Ramana Maharshi, this guru type image that people like carry this image around with them. They hang this image on their wall. They look at this image as a reminder of spiritual truth and awareness, and in a way that we don't often do with a woman, because we're so fixated on the exterior female form. We're not often looking for spiritual truth or the truth beyond the veil in her eyes. We're looking at how many wrinkles are on her face, and if those wrinkles mean she's young, old, attractive, unattractive. All of these very shallow judgments that I spoke about in my previous video that we make in an instant, the way society has trained us to look only at the exterior of women and not to look through to the interior. We don't often find female religious or spiritual figures who have been held up to the stature of gurus or gods or Christ-like, Buddha-like figures in our mythology, in our stories, in our history, in our current societies. So since we don't have a lot of those examples, I decided I would make them. And so this woman does not exist with the help of AI. I made her exist. And of course, this is not AI. This is my painting, my interpretation of her. So you could say she does exist now, in our minds, in our imaginations, which is a form of reality, is another dimension. And that's important. It helps us rewire and change not just our relationship to spiritual truth, but also our relationship to who and what women are, how we're viewed, and our role in both society and spirituality. The lack of female figures as holy beings is frightening, and means there is a religious inequality between men and women that has not yet been addressed. And I have spoken about why this is in other videos in depth, about the myth of Adam and Eve, how Adam in particular doesn't deal with pain very well in that particular myth and decides to just blame Eve, which makes her into an object of blame, which makes her into an object, which is as far as I'm going to go today because I'm outside in a park. But basically, our relationship to pain is affecting whether or not we view women as spiritual beings. And this is an enormous problem. This is the societal problem that has up until now been completely invisible, and it is my task and mission to make it visible, because just by making it visible is to change it. So just in case some of like talking about these difficult topics makes you uncomfortable or makes you feel depressed, or like, why would we talk about these things that we can't change? Talking about them does change them. This is the change. This painting is the change. This is the future. I hope by the time I'm this age, we have real women who are respected and seen like this woman is supposed to be. In some ways, I feel like I maybe painted my future self. And I hope that's the case, because I hope people find my wrinkles beautiful. And I hope at some point people will look in my eyes and not see eyelashes and makeup and the color of my eyes and all the physical things. I hope they'll be able to look beyond and see what's actually been there the whole time.